Yes, Sass. I haven't made one of these autism and employment videos for so long, so I'm really happy to be making one for you guys again today. So if you are not a frequent viewer / subscriber of my channel, you might not know that I have kind of like a bit of a mini kind of series, I guess, of me making videos talking about my experience as an autistic person in employment. And so far I've made quite a few videos about it. I'll leave the link to the rest of them in the description box below of this video, so you can check out those, as well as at the end screen at the very end of this video. But anyway, so I've had quite a few jobs. I'm just going to give you a very brief, kind of rundown as such as to stuff you might not know if you haven't seen my channel before. So my name's Steff, I'm 24 and I graduated from a media and communications degree in 2017 from Birmingham City University. I was diagnosed with Asperger's syndrome it's really hard to explain. Apparently it was from the age of 7, but I thought it was about 4, so I'm still a bit confused on that, but it was basically when I was a really young child. And I got a lot of help with my autism, and to be honest, you can barely tell that I'm even autistic because it doesn't affect me a lot because I've had so much help in the past. But anyway, so ever since I graduated, I've found it really hard to get a media job because of the fact that I know for a fact that I have to move and I have to be committed, and I needed to mentally mature a bit as well because autism, it can make people kind of grow up more slowly as such, so there's that as a factor. But anyway, so there's a slight developmental delay in that kind of sense, but yeah, so like I was struggling for work a bit, and then I got a job. I got a job at a photography studio. Didn't go very well. I explained in one of my previous autism employment videos, and it was for a week. And I had interviews at the likes of Nickelodeon and The Telegraph. That was crazy, and I was so grateful for the opportunity, but at the time I wasn't ready and they didn't offer me the job anyway in the end, but it was actually for the best at the time. And I had obviously an awful experience at the photography studios I worked at for a bit, and I worked at HMV and I worked at... yeah, I think, to be honest, I didn't really have that much luck in employment, so I worked basically there as a Christmas temp. I found that Christmas temp work is easier to get, so that was always my saviour. But then after that, my parents set up a new business and they needed a lot of help with that in so many ways, so I had to pretty much take almost a year out to help them with that. And it was really difficult. But anyway, so after that I got, well, kind of at the very end of my parents having that business before they sold it, because they just realised that it wasn't for them anymore. But anyway, so after that, at the end of that, I worked at Game and HMV, but a different HMV store, and these were Christmas temp jobs. And now I work in a movie theatre / cinema. So I'm going to talk about that, because once I got that, like my Game job, my second HMV store job, and my current movie theatre cinema job is what I'm going to be talking about today, because I've actually had a good experience. And as well, I'll talk about other jobs, other jobs that I've done as well that went really well, and one that maybe didn't go so well. But anyway, without further ado, I'm going to properly get into the bulk of this video. So, first let's talk about jobs I did kind of when I could, whilst my parents were having a difficult time and needed me a lot. I have some friends that wanted to set up their own gym wear company, and they said to me, would you take some pictures for us, do some photography? So I said, yeah, sure, why not? So I did that, and it was like pictures of models in a gym and outdoor, like in a park and on like a running track, and I really loved it. I really loved it, and I did a pretty good job as well. Pretty good job. If you want to see the pictures from that, they're on my website. It's just www.shansonmedia.com, and you click on photography and you'll see them. But I did that and I really enjoyed it. I obviously did photography for my parents' shop, and that's on my website as well. That went really well. That was great, you know, got paid for all of that. And then, let me think, I did an acting job, and I really, really want to go into acting. That's like the goal. But at the moment, COVID is stopping that. So as soon as this corona stuff is over and sorted out and everything, I'm going to go really hard for a career in acting and stuff like that, basically. I'm going to try my hardest. So, yeah, there's that. But anyway, so yeah, with the acting, I got onto a casting agency, and I went and they took some pictures of me, and they took like measurements and, you know, the usual stuff like bank details, national insurance number, DBS certificate, which is like a criminal records check to check that I am not a criminal, and I'm not. But so there's that, and it took a while. It did. Less than a year though. But I got onto BBC Doctors, and I had a walk-on role, and I was in the background as well. So that was really fun. That was a brilliant experience. They film BBC Doctors in Birmingham, so that was easy for me to get there. Really easy. So I got there, and you know, I took some outfits with me, and we chose an outfit. And the first scene, they said to me, you've got to sit next to this woman, and she's doing the talking and the acting and the movements. I was like, okay. And I was just kind of just sitting there, you know, in the background. And this girl was gorgeous, like she was literally radiant. I was like, wow. And I said to her, I was like, oh, you're really pretty. And she was like, oh, thanks, you know, and we were chatting. And there were some other people there that were also doing the same job as me, like they were supporting artists, like background, etc. Walk on, you know what I mean. And they were so lovely to me. We were sharing advice with each other and sharing experiences, chatting so much. It was really good, really good. And I've made friends. I'm just looking at my phone. I made sure I put it on silent. But I made some friends there. It was really good. And they got me to do a walk-on role, which I wasn't expecting. And they said, can you walk up to this other girl who I'd made friends with? And me and this girl had to pretend to be a fan of this guy that was, he's a vlogger, which is strange because that's what I do, but I'm not a big time YouTuber. I just make videos because I love it and it keeps my skills sharp and whatnot. So, but anyway, so we pretended to be a fan of this guy, and it was like that. So I had to walk, and I was literally walking, sitting, and doing like excited facial expressions, and that was it. And then I got put in another scene where I just had to sit in a chair in a coat on my phone, just scrolling in the background. But when the cameras weren't rolling, a woman came up to me, like one of the actors that's like a permanent actress as such, and she was like, how many scenes have you been in today? And I was like, and I went blank for some reason. And she was like, it's been about 3, hasn't it? And I was like, yeah, it has. And she was like, gosh, they're getting their money's worth out of you. Like, you know, you must be really good. I was like, wow, thank you. You know, it meant a lot to me because that's what I'm trying to get into as a career. And as well, when I did the first scene, I was sat with this gorgeous woman. Another woman that was like in charge of like, you know, how people looked, clothing, I guess. They didn't do your makeup there. The people had to do it themselves. But a woman came up to me and was like, look at me. She goes, oh, that's pretty, isn't it? Like, referring to what I was wearing. And I didn't know she was talking to me. Like, I was like, I felt like looking behind me to see if she was talking to someone else, kind of thing. And like, I was like, thanks. And she says to me, now what are we going to do with your hair? And I says to her, anything you want. And I had my hair down, and she put my hair behind my ears like that. She was like, so we can see your face now. It's really sweet. And another time, one of the actors or someone on the crew was talking about my face, but in a positive way. And it was really nice, and it meant a lot to me. It was like, oh, we can see her face now, or something like that. But it wasn't my hair in the way. It was just like, did we get her face on camera? Like, they were like, oh, we got your face, or something like that. And it was positive. And I was so like made up. I was so happy. And I'm like, yeah, I really want to do this. I really want to do this. And then Corona came along. Anyway, so there's that. But I was supposed to do more TV work for a different show. Can't say which one, just in case I do end up going on it. But they wanted me to be like in the background or something for another show, but it was in London. And it was like a week or 2 before lockdown began. And I had this gut instinct where I was just like, no. And I stopped myself from going, and I says, I can't go. And I told them that. And they were fine. But, yeah, and it's crazy that there's that. And, yeah, so anyway, that's a good experience. My next thing that I want to talk about is obviously let's talk about game. So I worked at a game store. Can't say which one, obviously. The staff were really lovely. Really lovely. Like, with that store, it's hard to find things because it's like a library, because there are so many video games everywhere. You're just like, there's new, there's pre-owned, there's old games, new games, there's just everything. And I was just like, okay. I was like, I can't find this. And they'd help me. Whenever I needed help, they would help me. And it was brilliant. The manager was a little bit strict, but it was nothing that upset me or hurt me. It was fine, you know. But the problem is with working at game is the till, like the cash register if you're American. That is very old and it crashes a lot, and it's like you have to remember shortcuts on the computer like F9, F8, F11, F this, F that, blah blah blah, you know, all these things, and it's really hard, and it literally just crashes, and it's so easy to make a mistake, and it's just long, it's just so long. It's not easy at all. But that's what I'll say about game. Yeah, it was a really good experience because the staff were so friendly. You know, it just was. It was brilliant. Like, okay, what I didn't like is that I'd see people that I know, this is just a typical problem working in retail. I'd see people that I know, like guys that liked me back in the day, I don't know, when I was a teen, before I realised I was gay, that I had a little bit of a thing with. And they would, like, they'd talk to me for ages, and I'm just like, please, no. You know, sometimes I was fine with it, and other times I'm just like, oh no, it's that person, and I just... One of the guys that used to date me, I guess, that was just, it was awful. And he kept, like, smiling at me and giggling at me and, like, looking at me when I was serving him in game, and it was really awkward. I was just like, please, please, no. And I didn't smile back. I was just like, just deadpan, just like, no, like, you know, I've served you, goodbye, please, no. I'm a lesbian, you know. So there was that. And that's the only thing, but that's, you can have that problem working anywhere. But the fact that, stereotypically speaking, boys go to game stores the most, and it's just, yeah. And I had a few parents, like, come in and were, like, saying to their son, like, oh, she seems really nice, why don't you? And I'm just like, I'm a lesbian. I was just, I didn't say that, obviously. I was just like, oh, I've already got someone. Even though I didn't. But, yeah. So, anyway, let's talk about HMV. Because I don't want this video to be insanely long, because it's already really long. And you know what I'm like, if you watch my videos, I can't help but ramble. I'm sorry. But anyway. So, HMV was a brilliant experience, because even though it was a different store I worked in before, I didn't have a good experience overall at the previous HMV store that I worked in, put it that way. But apparently one of the guys that worked at the new store that I was at, he said to one of the managers or something, he says, oh, this girl, I've checked online, and she used to work at this HMV. And it's really hard to work there. I worked there, and it's really hard to work there. And the management is really strict. So cut her some slack, give her a break, you know, see how she goes. You know, and he encouraged the manager to hire me, which I'm really happy about. Really grateful to him, actually. And if you're watching this, you know who you are. I'm so grateful to everyone that works at that particular store. And people that worked in the previous HMV store that were really nice to me and helped me as well. So much gratitude. So much gratitude. But, yeah, I literally bow down to HMV because it's saved my butt so many times. Like, when it comes to getting me a job. But anyway, so I got to the interview at my most recent HMV job. And the guy that was interviewing me was like, you've got public speaking on your kind of CV/resume, and it says about how you kind of worked with the council to raise awareness for autism for a while. I was like, yeah. And he says to me, I was wondering if you're autistic or not, but I noticed that you seem to be quite observant and you look around at stuff at the room a lot, like you were looking up here, you were looking everywhere. I was like, yeah, that's what I'm like. And he says to me, well, brilliant, you know. And I'm not going to go into detail, but he has a link to autism. And he understands it. He's very understanding with autism. And throughout the whole time I was there, he was so kind to me. And we would talk about autism, Asperger's syndrome, quite a bit. And we would just chat about it, you know, and it was really nice. And usually I wouldn't do floor walking in that store like I did at the previous HMV, but I did one of the times, and I don't know why, but I was having a bit of a down day, like I was a bit sad that day for some reason, I don't know why. And he noticed, and he was like, oh, you know, if you don't want a floor walk, just let me know and we can sort it out. And I was like, no, I'm fine. But he was so nice and just so understanding. And it was brilliant, so brilliant. You know, I made friends. I loved it. I would work there again in a heartbeat, but because it was a Christmas temp job, then, you know, the job never comes up at HMV ever. Like, it's really hard to get a job there. but that's because retail is struggling. You know, it just is, especially because we're in a recession now because of the pandemic. But anyway, so I've had some really good experiences. And these experiences, like these good experiences, they carried on. Like, I thought that I would be unemployed for a while. Like, because it's hard to get a job, even a retail job, you know? And in like January of 2020, which is the year I'm filming this and the year you're hopefully watching this now, but if you're not, then that's fine too. This video's pretty timeless. But, and I love documenting my journey to look back on in the future. But, so January, I saw a job for my local cinema, as such, came up, and I was like, oh yeah, I'd like to work there. So I applied. I didn't hear anything back for like a week or two, and I was like, oh, okay. And I was worried in case I didn't get in. But I was in the shopping mall, and I was just like, shall I go over to the movie theatre and just talk to someone about the job? I was just like, yeah. So I went up to the concession stand and I asked someone, and they brought the manager out, and I was like, oh. And he says to me, like, I was like, hi, and I says to him, oh, I applied for a job here, and I'd really like to work here. I'm really good at these things, and I've worked at HMV and game, and I've got a media degree, and all to do, like, relating in film to a certain extent. And he was like, oh, okay, sounds good. Okay, so he asked me for my first and last name, and then he went off, and then he came back and says to me, you've got an interview on this day, at this time, and I was like, brilliant, brilliant. And I went. A thing that I really do want to talk about this, actually. In October, on Halloween specifically, my really close friend, my really close friend passed away. Try not to cry right now. My best friend Madeline's husband passed away. We knew that he was going to, because he had like bad health problems and they were getting worse. But he did pass away, and I was really sad, and he knew that I was struggling with employment. And like, I'm trying not to cry. I went to her house the day before I went to my interview at the movie theatre. And when I came home, after we were talking about him, I came home and there was a coin, a penny, on my bedside table. And I thought nothing of it, to be honest. I was just like, what's that doing here? I don't remember putting it here. No one goes in my room. Like, my parents don't go in my room. Okay. So I thought nothing of it. And I have a coin, basically a case, not a case, like a Tupperware thing that I put loose change in. So I just put it in there, thought nothing of it. Went to my interview the next day, and there was, they told me to sit at a table in the waiting area, and there was a penny on the table that I was told to sit at, and the other table, someone else was already sat at it. And I was like, okay, interesting. And I saw this penny, and I was like, okay, I saw a penny yesterday. So I was like, okay. And then I went into the interview. The interview went really well. I answered the questions the best I possibly could, and she said I did really well. And she gave me the job on the spot. And I was like, okay. And I googled what pennies mean, because I was like, what does it mean to see a penny, like random? And it said like pennies from heaven, and that someone is looking out for you. And I was just like, I know who that is. I know who that is. Yeah. And the last shift I worked, they told me to clean one of the screens, which basically means after people come out of watching a movie, you have to clean up sweets, popcorn, etc. that customers have left. I went into the screen, it was completely clean, there was nothing too clean, but there was one thing that was in there waiting for me, and there was a feather just on the floor. That's another sign. So that's really sweet. Anyway, so I had the job for like a week, if that. I worked there probably about twice, that was it, or something like that. Then I went to see Paris the band, so I booked that time off. It was only about a week I booked off, I think. Yeah. And then after that we went into lockdown, so I was on furlough. And literally, it was Easter, and I got a message from the manager saying, what are your addresses? Like, separately, asked us privately, what are your addresses? And I was like, oh, okay, it's this, and I gave him my address. And then, like, kind of like a few days later, the manager and I think his sibling appeared at my door, and I was like, hi. And he was like, hi, how are you? Kind of chatting, like, from a distance, obviously, social distancing, it was completely fine. And he gave me an Easter egg, and I was just like, this is so nice. Like, I wish I had something to give to you back. Like, oh my god, thank you so much. It was really sweet of him. So I'm really grateful for that, and it was really sweet. And I'm Greek, so we celebrate Easter on a different Sunday for some reason. It's really weird. And even though it was a week late for English Easter, it happened to, like, Greek Easter happened to fall on the following Sunday after English Easter. So he actually gave me the Easter egg on Greek Easter. And I says to him, oh, I'm actually Greek, so you're not exactly late. Like, it's Greek Easter today for Greek people, so you're actually on time. Like, that's so cool. Yeah, and it went like that, and it was really sweet. And everyone that I work with are so nice. Everyone's so nice to me, and we've got stuff in common. Like, we like the same video games, we like the same stuff, basically. We do the same stuff. Like, there's someone that works there that wants to get into acting like me, there's someone there that does music, you know, there's people there with shared interests, and it's really great. And people there, they're just so friendly. And I really do like working there, and I'm so lucky to even have a job in the pandemic, you know. So lucky, so grateful for this job. And it's kind of, it's like that, really. And obviously I'm working on a secret project that is to do with work, I guess, and I do photography with this project, and it's going really well. The people are really happy with me for my work, and I do social media stuff for basically an audio company, but it's in the works at the moment. I can't explain any more than that, but you'll see in the following videos, etc., you know, what that is. But yeah, it's going really well so far, but obviously after this corona stuff is over, the hard part is going to be getting a job that's not in retail. And, you know, I don't live in a place where there are lots of media opportunities and stuff like that, so I am going to have to move. I'm going to have to really make sure I do that. So yeah, I'm putting plans in place to figure that out at the moment, to be like, right, I'm gonna have to move. So, you know, I'm just gonna have to. Sorry for the coughing. I'm gonna have to just sort sort it out, basically. But the jobs market at the moment is quite bad, you know? So I'm not going to even bother applying for jobs until 2021, when the pandemic has started to like just stop, basically. God. Because people keep thinking that the second it hits January 1st, 2021, that Corona is going to magically disappear and the spell is going to be lifted. It won't. It's not going to. It's not going to be like that, really. You know, so I'm being realistic. But anyway, this video is way too long. I'm so sorry. Some people that watch me actually really like long videos and some people don't. But no one tells me that they don't. But yeah, so anyway, I'm going to end the video here. If you want to leave a comment, please do like the video as well. Subscribe if you haven't already. There are so many people that watch me that aren't subscribed and I'm just like, what are you doing? Like, please subscribe to me. Like, why? Anyway. I do make money from YouTube, which is something I should mention. It's not a lot. When I say it's not a lot, I mean it's really not a lot. Like, really not a lot. You know, so, yeah. So, anyway, there's that. But I'm going to end the video now. Hope you are having a lovely day, night, wherever you are in the world. Make sure you're looking after yourself and the people around you. You're being a good person. And see you in another video. Yes, yes.